Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Let's Livestream. This week we do have a special guest, B. Smith, and we're going to be talking to her today. But guys, we have a lot to cover today. This is not your typical Twitter chat, at least in Let's Livestream terms. But I do want to welcome you guys, whether you guys are watching on Facebook, if you're watching on Periscope and sharing it out on Twitter, or even if maybe you're watching it on YouTube. I don't know. But if you guys are watching us live, that's great. If you're watching us on the replay, I'm so glad you guys took time out to do this. This is a real life live stream Twitter chat about live streaming and the live streaming community. And that's why we wanted to bring on B. Smith. And we've kind of run into some of the same circles around. And I've been able to kind of, I'll be honest, like I had to do a little bit of digging, a little bit of questioning, kind of watch some periscopes and stuff like this to get to know her better. And I got to say, I'm really glad I am, because this week has really come together with her as a guest, some of the things that she really cares about, and some of the what's going on in the nation, and some of the causes that we're trying to bring to light this week. And this is going to be a really great chat, and I hope you guys are able to watch and share. And so let's go right into the rules, because it's really important, not because, well, we have to have rules, but it's just so we're all on the same page. And so really, honestly, like straight out, we only have 4 really simple rules, and I like to add a 5th at the end sometimes. But guys, this is a Twitter chat, and we have to use the hashtag Let's Livestream. Otherwise, I can't find your tweets, and we can't actually put them live on the screen as you guys are tweeting them. So it's really important you use that. And when you're answering a question, make sure you're using A1 and A2 to answer the question 1, question 2 for all 6 of our questions today. The third rule is actually really kind of, I've already just talked about it. If you guys are familiar at all with this Twitter chat, it is live streamed. So you can watch us on a number of different platforms. You can just go over to, what is it? Let's livestream.live. There we go. And you can watch us live on Periscope, and that's a great way to be able to connect with a lot of the people that are watching now, and they're actually piling in the room. And I think that's actually kind of cool. I love to see everybody joining us. And the other side, since it is also live streamed, we also have a Twitter chat, and you can go over to Twitter and find us at Let's Livestream there. And the last one, this is something I just did. I want to encourage everybody, please have fun. Please be respectful of everybody in the community and the chat. And also, please just do us a favor and quick share this out. I would really appreciate it, because this is the way that everybody gets to know each other. So introduce yourself. And with that, I'd actually like to bring on B and introduce her. Let's see if we can't do that in this crazy show. B, welcome to the show. How are you today?
I am doing absolutely fabulous.
That is great. Thank you for being here today. I know you're traveling and you're speaking and teaching, and you took time out of your schedule to be with us, and I'm really honored. So thank you for that.
Thank you. My pleasure. I'm excited.
So B, I know this is kind of a setup question, but there are 6 questions. I already sent them to you, so I just wanted to get that out there and let everybody know this is actually a live show. Somebody messaged me this past week and was really questioning the fact they didn't actually think this was a live show. But this is a live stream. We're actually broadcasting it on a number of channels. But you're going to be live tweeting your answers out there. And the first question actually just went out, and I wanted to kind of segue right into that. And for you, I just also, as part of this, I want to give you a chance to be able to tell us a little bit about who you are, but really address things like, why did you get started live streaming?
Why did I get started live streaming? I got started live streaming because I had a message that I wanted to get out, and I saw the impact it could make. I wanted to do things in my community, and you don't always have the money available or the funds available. And when I found live streaming and I saw that I could speak to multiple countries and talk about suicide prevention and living a life full of joy and helping people suffering from depression, when I saw that it was possible for me to speak to thousands and thousands of people all over the world, I was like, this is a no-brainer. This is the way to go.
So that's kind of interesting, because I told you I had to kind of do a little bit of research on you to get to know you a little bit. And what was interesting with you is that I think one of the easiest ways to do that was to actually just go on your Periscope. It's just to see how you talk, to see what you talk about when you scope and things like this. You're scoping all times of the day. Like, you're up before the sun. You're waiting I caught that one. You were up like in your car. You're like, I'm waiting for it to open up. You wanted to get in? And I was like, wow, man, she's like dedicated. So that's pretty awesome.
Oh my goodness. Well, I do that for a reason. There are different countries. Like my friends in Denmark, when I'm up at 4:30 and I'm exercising, it's a great time to catch people in different countries. And my followers is just it's just fun. They get to follow me on my journey. And exercising is one of my wellness things that I do to keep my life full of joy, keep me mentally um, healthy. And so I
Mhm.
like to bring people along with me. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun. So, let's see here. One of the things that I really like to talk about is live streaming. And for any of you guys that know, it's a passion of mine. And so I wanted to make sure that you guys that are on Twitter and watching everybody there on Twitter and things like this and participating, that you guys are actually answering those questions as well. And so I'm actually let me click over. Let me see if we have any anybody joining in. And I do see a number of people. I see Alfredo Tigolo. I see Ross Brand today. And B, obviously, you're joining us live. So that's really pretty awesome. And then we actually do have a number of people, and I'm trying to look over there watching us on Periscope. So if you guys haven't already, please make sure you do share this out. I do see a number of people that have been live streaming for a while. Do you remember your first live stream? Do you remember what that was like?
So my first live stream, it was kind of like, huh? What? It,
Mm-hmm.
it was absolute. I was like, how does this work? How does any of this work? So my first live stream came after watching the Perry Girls. They had this thing called Pass the Cast, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm watching these ladies like scared to death, and then I'm commenting, and then Joanne Pam jumps on there and goes, "Well, B, why don't you sign up for next week's Pass the Cast?" And so my first real Periscope was on Pass the Cast with the Perry Girls. And so I got so much love and support. Of course, there's a couple of trolls, but it was so much love and support to help me navigate through pushing the red button. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And my first live stream was kind of fun, kind of crazy, kind of fun. Perry Girls.
Right. So I actually think it's I remember one of my first broadcasts, and I remember it because I started it by accident, and I didn't realize like I had pushed the go button. I just thought it was like the turn on button, and I'm sitting there looking at this going,
Mhm.
what have I just done? And I closed the app and I didn't even open it up for like another week. I was mortified. Like I could not believe I had done something like that to myself, potentially for the world to see. And I honestly, I think one person, you know, from the other side of the world saw it, and then I mean, you know, we get all worked up about these little things that really don't matter at all, or they don't. I don't want to say they don't matter. I think that's kind of that's kind of that's a little maybe a little condescending, like it doesn't matter, but it does matter to us, you know, when we're broadcasting, you know, and it's important that you know that when we are broadcasting, or whether it's a very informal, like just a periscope sitting in your car waiting for the gym to open up or something, you know, or doing something maybe more like this, or you know, interviewing somebody or a celebrity or somebody that's got some, you know, that's their time is really valuable in and you really, it was very difficult, and you want to make sure everything's working together. All of those things, I think a lot of those kind of experiences, we're coming together, and we need to talk about that. You know, so like I said, you know, the first question is, you know, why did we get start live streaming? And you know, and we've had Perry Girls, we've had Joanne on, and that was a fun interview with her, getting her perspective, having gone from, what she say, like 3 people to so many, you know, 10,000 people in
Over
the group.
10,000.
Yeah, and you're one of them, and I think that's really where, to me, this is where the live stream community just kind of come full circle, that we can actually talk to you about that. And so, where's one of your favorite places to go live from? I don't want to say scope, because you do more than just Periscope, but where's your favorite place, like geographically, not necessarily platform, that you like to go in you know, broadcast from?
Oh my gosh, my best broadcasts come in my car. It's like I don't know. I get this something comes over me. I get these revelations in the car, and it's usually when I'm parked in front of my driveway. Some of my best scopes are me parked in front of my driveway, and I get these revelations. And another place I like to scope from is when or go live is when I'm at the actual event. A lot of times people are curious about what we do. Like you said, you had to do a little research about me and about what I do. And so if I go live from the actual event and let you see and hear, and that opens up understanding, and that's helped a lot of people by me doing that. So I would say the events are the best place. When I'm speaking or when I'm at a live event or I'm at a suicide walk. I was actually catch pick of the week on Twitter at a suicide walk. I was at an out of darkness community walk, and it almost went viral. Like, and we were just walking in support of suicide prevention, and it just caught on. It went crazy.
That is kind of crazy. That something so little like
Yeah,
that. And I don't mean like the event is little, but it was something. It doesn't take a lot to grab
didn't
your
take
phone,
much.
push the button, and go live. Like it's simple, and I'm glad the tech has gotten there. But it's amazing that when you do those little things like that, the reach and the lives that it impacts, and not that I have. Not that I that's not a struggle that I have, but that doesn't lessen the impact that even just doing something as simple as like "you're worth it" in a tweet changes some people and can just totally change their perspective, and at least maybe turn the ship a little bit and change their mind a little bit.
I like that. I like that. Because I always felt alone. And when I discovered live streaming, I realized I wasn't alone. There were so many other people who felt the way I felt and were dealing with some of the things that I was feeling. So maybe the people around you aren't dealing with it, but there are millions and millions of people all over the world feeling the same way you do. And when you can connect and share, that's where the healing begins. And live stream has made that possible.
It absolutely does. And I think that's one of the the benefits of having like a real raw, I say, or a very unproduced broadcast. When you're broadcasting in your car, it's still dark outside, and I like to use that because that was so powerful. And you were speaking with with so much conviction. But it doesn't matter where you're sharing from, but as if the having that message and someone being able to look at it and go, I get that, that makes so much sense to me. And that kind of gets us right into our question number two, and this is a question I wanted to share with you because of your life experience. And I wanted to ask is, our question number two is, how much is too much information to share on a live stream? Because I think, from my own experience, sometimes we have those TMI moments where it's not just uncomfortable, it comes across, but it makes you feel uncomfortable. But you need to find that bridge where it's enough information to be able to share with somebody. But in your opinion, with your life experience, what is that? Where is that line? Or maybe for you, or where would you coach somebody or advise somebody? Where's that line of too much information?
Okay. So the first thing I want to talk about, too much information. Always be careful with your location. Especially if you're new to live streaming, be careful with your location because there could be sometimes, especially if you're somewhere scoping by yourself, please know that your location sometimes they can pinpoint your location. And so sometimes that's a little too much. And then with me being a suicide advocate, one thing that I think would be too much is to share the method. You want to share the inspiration, you want to share the story, but you don't want to give too much information because you don't want someone to take that information and do something to harm themselves. So, my goal is to help. And so if you're trying to help someone, sometimes you can give TMI. And then the third thing is don't nobody want to know when you go into the bathroom. That's just TMI. That's just too much information. Sometimes it goes a little too far, but the serious part is the location. Is be careful with that. I wanted to make sure I said
That's a really good point to make. With being maybe sharing too much in that it doesn't really affect people. You know, um, if you're coming on to talk about, and we're going to be talking about, and we one of the things that we're bringing about is that this week is National Suicide Prevention Week. And we do have some links going on a little bit later on in the broadcast, just trying to bring some awareness to that. And if you guys do want to we'll talk about it here in just probably about a minute here. But using the hashtag Stop Suicide, and over at the AFSP, and that man, I had it in my head. There's so many acronyms, um, but it's the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention,
Yeah.
and this is like the national week. But be oftentimes when we that's a really uncomfortable topic. That's a really that's a really difficult topic, I think, for a lot of people, and those that are in that, they're right in the throes of that. They're struggling really hard. That's can be a very difficult conversation to hear somebody else have. So, how do you think that that plays into the too much information?
It does. Well, when you think about it being the 10th leading cause of death in the United States, how much is too much? I was just at a community walk this Saturday, and people would come up and get one balloon for each person they lost. Well, in my city of Oklahoma City, there were people coming to get 5 different balloons. This is a global issue that does not discriminate. So, how can we say it's not too much information? We have children. I would say be cautious about children, but then you have children committing suicide. We have the elderly. I mean, I've seen it all age, race, creed. It does not discriminate. And so, the only thing I would say would be too much information is sharing your method. We want to share the inspiration. We want to share the knowledge and let people know that it is a serious issue. But you do have to be careful with too much information, just because you don't want to have someone take that and do the wrong thing. So there's a line, and it's hard to get funding because you're talking about suicide. You're talking about a topic that people like to sweep under the rug. Nobody wants to talk about Uncle Benny tried to kill himself, or Rachel's going back to school like nothing ever happened, or what about the kids that have to go back to school after one of the students have killed themselves. It's like a stigma, and
Yeah.
we need to silence the stigma and be able to talk about it because it is one of the top leading causes of death. And so how do we not talk about it? I know it's uncomfortable, but we've got to get comfortable talking about it so that we can eradicate it.
You say that part. It's how can we not talk about it? And I think that's something that a lot of people we don't really take into consideration. I mean, I know that suicide or attempts for suicide has touched my family and my friends by extension, in lives. And you know what? Because it's a real thing, in the same way that maybe depression, and maybe that's a cause for this. But we have all these different components that are leading together. And then, but when we use live streaming as a tool, as a platform to be able to bring more awareness about it, because I think one of the biggest things is that people feel alone. And I don't mean that just for those that are struggling, or they just feel like everything is dark. It's not just that. I mean, a lot of people feel very alone in the world. And I hope this is for everybody that is listening. I really do hope that live streaming maybe opens those doors, or opens the windows, so to speak. And you can meet people like B, and I'll hear a lot of the things that she's trying to encourage and change the world in. So, but I know we've got question number 3 coming up. But that tweet did just go out about a minute ago, with the AFSP. And guys, just so you know, this is not a request for donation. That link
No.
is really actually, that is really just for, if it just, you go and click on it. It actually brings a lot of the awareness of, maybe you're struggling with it, or maybe somebody that is, or maybe there's a resource just to help you understand what where they are, what's a better way that I could help. There's a resource
Right.
page, and that's a really big thing as we kind of go along. And I know that's not the entire story of who you are and where you are, and I wanted to kind of just shift and turn our conversation towards, not only do you just talk about suicide and suicide prevention in your own story, and that's a very powerful story. But you're not just talking; you're actually connecting, and you're bringing a community that you are able to actually physically go out. You do speaking. I was able to check out and see that you've done a number of speaking engagements and some conferences and things like this. And I the No Fear conference, that was very impressive, and that was that was actually very encouraging. I only caught a couple of the glimpse, a couple of little clips and things like this, but I loved it. I thought that was really great. And I wanted to ask you, how do you connect your local community with your live stream audience?
Wow. So recently, the No Fear Conference, that was my friend Wywana Montgomery out of Seattle, Washington, who actually lives here in Oklahoma City now. And we just want to talk to young teens and girls and let them know that they're not alone. And so, what I do is I MC a lot of local events. And so, while MCing those events and hosting those events, I'm able to share my story of survival. And these girls are looking up to me and they're like, oh, she's so fabulous. Oh, she got it going on. And then I'm like, I'm a suicide survivor. And I talk about what took me there and what got me there. And I talk about the healthy habits that can change a life. And so we're just taking these events and changing our communities, informing our communities, and letting them know there is life after. You can live a life with joy and you don't have to suffer in silence.
Hmm. That is a real difficult thing for people to change their mind about.
Yeah.
And I think that bringing the that aspect of community into it, because it's not just, and not everybody has the same issues or the same that's those struggle points, and sometimes it's they just have a really great message and they want to connect with other people. And that was one of the things I really noticed about you. And you're located in Oklahoma, is that right?
Yes, I am in Oklahoma City.
Okay, okay. Oklahoma City. All right. So you do a number of local events. Would you tell us maybe a little bit about one of the last event? What was the last event that you did? You attended, whether it was a speaking engagement or something else.
I'm always somewhere. Oh my
Hmm.
God.
I know this is an easy question, so I just figured.
So the biggest event that I just did was the No Fear conference, and so we talked about that one. But I did Reflections of a Broken Woman, a conference, and it's actually she's not even a new author. It was her second book. She'd been through domestic violence, abuse, and she's out of that relationship, and so she wrote a book about it to free other women who are dealing with different issues. Like you said, we all don't have the same issues, but that empowerment and that information and that sense of community is what binds us all, regardless of the topic. And so I enjoyed myself. Cynthia White was an amazing host. It was an amazing event, and you just saw all the different people in our community coming together to help one another. There were different authors like Carrie Aller, and Wywana Montgomery was there again. You'll kind of see us following each other all over the country in different events. And so when you see me traveling, that's what we're doing. We're changing the world in our own way. And who thought that a girl that born in Texas, living in Oklahoma City, can travel the world spreading a message of hope? Livestream made it happen.
Live stream does make it happen. It gives you the platform to bring your voice to people. And I mean, that is, if we're to strip away all the tech and all the push this button and sync this up, that's the essence of what it is that we do, whether it's for business or maybe it's for a cause, or maybe it's just education or fun. I mean, we have plenty of people that go live because they want to draw and show people their art. Other people want to sing and bring some joy to people's and music to people's hearts and lives. And that's what it does. And they do it through live streams. I know we're coming up about halfway through the show. We're almost halfway through the show. If I always say, like, I find it to be kind of hard to believe that, but question, we've got some additional questions coming up, but I really
Okay.
want to encourage everybody, if you guys haven't already, please go on over to livetalknation.com, and that is the Facebook group for the Twitter chat. A number of you guys are watching on Facebook, and you guys are seeing that. And that's our community group, and there's a number of us in there, and we're all in there talking and learning about from each other and each other's businesses, and maybe the causes and some of the different talents and skills that everybody has. And it's a really great community to go in, to be able to share and learn and really just encourage each other. And I would really encourage you guys to go on over to livetalknation.com, and that is the group. Just put a request in, and I'll probably just let you right in. But it'd be really great to be able to connect with you guys, maybe after or even before our next broadcast next week. So B, tell us a little bit more about you and some of the speaking that you do when you are out. I would really actually love to hear more specifically, about what and where it is that you talk.
Okay, so I'm out in my community. So whether it's a conference, I speak at local schools. I'm actually at a community center right now. So and just spreading the message and empowering people to live their best life and helping them find those resources. So I also have my own event. I guess we'll talk about that later that I do. Like I said, it's suicide. Um, it's it's just not a topic that people want to talk about, but it's a topic that people need to talk about. And so I really like hitting the schools. I really like talking to teen girls and young girls because that's when I was broken. Middle school, I love speaking to schools. So that's where you'll catch me. You'll catch me out in my community. You'll catch me at churches. You'll catch me at community centers. You'll catch me at walks. You'll see me everywhere. Like this year is going to be really interesting. Be inspired. We'll be inspired. We'll be in Ireland this year and spreading a message of hope. And so I'm committed. And so I'm not, it starts at home and then it spreads itself abroad. And so the first half of this year, I totally committed myself to working in Oklahoma City and surrounding areas and just visiting local churches and going to their events. I've got a couple events in October that I'll be at different churches before we head to Iceland. So
I think that's great. You've been able to, I mean, traveling to Ireland, I've been to Ireland, it was a long time ago, but I mean, I didn't always like the flight, but I got to say, I like being there. That was,
man,
that was, that was that was some really great people.
Man, I mean, it's Livestream has afforded this, and if I can help people
Mm.
not feel alone, and it's wonderful to me because we're all from different places, but we're having the same issues, and to be able to spread a message of hope just brings me joy. It's my passion. I believe it's my purpose. It's what I'm supposed to do. It's what brings me joy. It gives me life, and I'm grateful.
So B, one of the things that I heard you talking about, you do speaking, you traveling, things like this, and what we try to do, because we know you have an event coming up, and if you would just take like a moment, actually tell us, because we have, and I think we have there. No, it's one of the lower thirds. It's letslivestream.com/, and then it's Be Inspired Talks is the link to your Facebook event to be able to actually see you in person. And we wanted to put that out there for anybody
Oh, wow.
watching us, and maybe that they want to connect with you. What do you think?
Thank you. Thank you so much. That's amazing. This year's Be Inspired Talks was absolutely amazing. Shout out to Aaron over at Archon Mounts. Do you understand what Livestream has done? He was one of our sponsors this year. It was amazing because I wanted to have an evening of hope, not just reflect on depression and suicide, but an evening of hope and survivors sharing their stories. And so Be Inspired Talks is not just about suicide prevention. That's the main cause, but I like the story of the overcomer. We had an immigrant that talked about coming to America and how it changed his life, Akash Patel, and he's doing amazing things with World Experiences Foundation all over the globe. He's got global ambassadors. We had Ebony Combs. She supports single moms all over the world. She talked about surviving being a single mom and the struggles that she went through. And so Be Inspired Talks is about the overcomer. Dr. Ikena Finch, she talked about being a freaking introvert and how social media and live stream has even given her a message. And she has a message for people like her to say, you're not alone. And you can spread your message and you can live your best life and you can be exactly who you are. And then we had a two-time stage 4 cancer survivor, Dr. Angie Willicala. Now, mind you, these speakers were from all over the world, and they came to Oklahoma City, and it was absolutely an amazing event. And 2018 is going to be even better. More stories of the overcomer, and we all bind it through live stream. We all found each other through live stream. It's amazing.
That is really cool. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. Like the live stream just brings us to a place where we're able to connect even further and even deeper. And I know Jen, in who produces the show, she's part of VitMug, and she's the one that's behind the scenes. And we really actually couldn't do this show this way without her. So big shout out, thank you, Jen Nelson, for helping out. But she's gone to a number of of live events, and she knows exactly what you're talking about in terms of being able to connect the online persona with the real life person. And sometimes it's a little eye-opening, because you realize you really do get to see, it's like, man, these live stream really puts the personality of people right within your right within your reach, and especially when you can reach out and shake their hand and maybe share some coffee. I don't know, like, I think that's all right. See, right there. See, there we go. There's the, and I haven't done this one in a long time, but we do a mug shot. That's what I call my mug shot. So
Got my name on it.
yeah, and they spelled it right. So, hey, so I know. So we've talked about your speaking gigs and things like this. And as we get into it, and we'll probably be putting this up, and I know I'm going to drop the link for your event here a couple times, just so people can kind of
Awesome.
get to see it, because sometimes they come and go and they miss it and things like that. But our question number 4, if it hasn't already come out, it's going to be coming out like really quick. And I wanted to make sure that we had some time to really talk about this, because I consider you to be a pretty good expert in terms of speaking, and that you go out and you put it out there. But I want to ask, B, how does live streaming help you be a better speaker or a presenter?
Okay. How live streaming makes me a better speaker is you learn right away what works and what doesn't. Um, I think with live stream, it's so raw and so real. You learn really quick what your audiences want to hear. And a lot of times, the mistakes that you make in live streaming kind of help you on the stage. And I believe I got more comfortable. It was like speaking became like breathing. I remember people would call me for a speaking gig and I would be sweating bullets. I'd be like, oh my God, I can't do this. And but once I live streamed, it became like breathing. It
Hmm.
became like breathing. And I actually like live more than television. Like live streaming is better than television. It's easier. Like television's kind of scripted, but when it comes to live things and it comes from the heart, man, when it is time to do those scripted things, I believe it makes you better. You're more disciplined. You can get those sound bites in really quick and you say what you need to say. And so live streaming, if someone's looking to be a speaker or a presenter, you've got a message, live streaming is excellent for that because, like I said, the audience is going to tell you really quick what works and what doesn't.
I was going to ask our audience, because we have a good handful of people watch us today live. I want to ask them, like, how many of you guys are speakers or presenters, or maybe even aspiring speakers and presenters, and what do you guys think about this? Because I think that's a really it's a really good thing to practice. And I'm wondering if live stream is that initial go at it. That if you feel that you can do this in front of a, on in maybe on Periscope or something like that, or being able to practice. And I really appreciated your insight of just saying that, look, that this is where you find out right away if this works or if it doesn't work. Because if it doesn't work, you don't want to do it, or you don't want to keep doing it. That
No,
same way, maybe you need to tweak this part, or maybe the transition to your next point, or maybe it's just a, man, you're tired, or you sound tired. I mean, there's lots of different little critique points. But I was just wondering, it's like, what do who else feels this way, on whether it's a Periscope or if it's on Facebook. I'd love to see love to see you see what you guys have to say about that too. But are there any other kind of maybe like pointers that you could give while talking, about, if as a speaker on live on a live stream, is there maybe a pointer you could give our audience?
yes. Use your live streams. Go back and watch them. Sometimes I'll go back and watch my live streams and look at my background. I was like, what's behind me? You learn what works and what doesn't. Critique yourself. Are you repeating yourself? Do people understand you? It's a good way to measure. Look at the comments. Are you engaging? One of the things that gets on my last nerves is someone that goes live. You're going live and you don't engage with your audience. What the heck are you going live for if you're not going to engage with your audience? And so if you go back and you watch, this is the way you spread a message. You've got to engage with those people that are joining in and tuning in. People like live stream because it's interactive. And so I would say go back and watch your streams. You need content, go back and watch your streams. See what people are listening to, what's going on in the world, what do you have to say, and use those and critique yourself and get better.
I'm kind of watching over here on Facebook, and Cynthia White, she actually has a really good point. She says, I'm on the speaking platform, and going live helps recognize your flaws in speaking. And isn't that so true when you look back? I mean, there's some people like they love to look at themselves in the mirror and they love to hear themselves talk. There are other people that I hate going back and listening to myself. I don't like doing it. I just I don't like, maybe I don't like the way I sound or whatever, but isn't it crazy though? It's like, why do I really have to go back? But it's really that important, isn't it?
It is that important. It reminds me of this TED talk by Amy Cuddy called the 5 second rule. I mean, most of the things that you need to do, you don't feel like it. But if you just go ahead and do it, it's going to make you better. So I remember I couldn't stand my voice. Like when I first started speaking, I would be like, who is that? Oh my God. And then sometimes you think your hair is cute, and then you go back and look at that live and you be like, okay, well, maybe that wasn't the hairstyle. Me. Or did I have food in my teeth? I mean, just all the different things. I know, it's things that matter, like I'm just being honest. Did I have my volume up enough? Going back and looking helps you get better. And so, even though we don't want to do it, even though it's tough, doing it makes us better. And it's all about the message. So, if there's a message you want to get out, you don't want anything to get in the way. You want people to be totally focused
Hmm.
on the message. So, you don't want anything to take away from that. So, go back, do your research, watch those scopes, watch your lives, and get better.
That's really good advice. And I know it takes a little extra time, but you've already put the time in to try to, to develop the material, have the idea, and then to actually go out and do this. And I think, I mean, most speakers, they like to speak not just one time. They would like to speak a couple of times at least. And I think it's worth going out. It's worth the practice. It's worth that
Man,
I don't want to say perfection. I don't think it's perfection, because every time you go and speak, it's going to be a little bit different because you react to
right,
your audience. And and you're going to be looking at whether it's a small group of like 15 people or less, right? Or if it's a
right.
big auditorium of say like 1,000 people. I mean, you're gonna speak to them, and it's, I think it's just really important that you hone in really on what it is, your message, and just being there to practice. So I really appreciate those tips on that.
You.
I hope, and I see Patricia Murray. She's on Facebook and she's
Okay.
watching this, and she says this. I think, however you get to talk in front of people, um, she said she started with radio, another started with a cable, and another started with cable access or local TV, but live streaming is fine. And it's just getting easier to get started. And she does a lot of like reporting, and she goes live, I think every day, if not like 5 or 6 days a week. And she gives local news updates on what's happening in her community. And so she's done radio, and she's done local, cable access. So I really appreciate Pat's her perspective on that.
Thanks, Pat. I
I
like that.
I really do think it's great. So we have question number 5 out here, and I'm just gonna. I like to post these in our in the live stream now, because some people they don't see them, or they like to see the question as it sits and as we kind of go back and forth. But I want to ask you, B. Question number 5 is, it's really pretty straightforward. It's like, how can someone use live stream to promote themselves as a speaker? I know we talked about other aspects, but how can they use them to promote themselves? Your
Oh,
turn. Tag, you're it.
my turn. Okay. How you can promote yourself, you can let people know that you're available, that you speak. And the biggest thing for me uh, was content. If you put on your title that you're an author or you're a speaker and you're speaking and you got good content, people will reach out to you and they will call you. And so what I put on here is highlight your cause, highlight the work that you're doing, let people know that you're available. I remember when I first started out speaking, I was like, hey guys, I just wrote a book and I'm open for speaking engagements. You can email me at bsmith.live, info@bsmith.live. And I'm telling you, that's the way to get yourself out there. And you tell people what you talk about. If you watch my scopes, I talk about living a life full of joy. I talk about my struggles with depression. I talk about overcoming suicide. And so if you have a community event, I just invite myself and say, hey, I can come and speak. Just tell them you're here. That's how you let them know you're here.
I like that, because there's a certain amount of it, there's proof in the pudding. If they actually see you
Damn.
speaking, they are probably either going to really like you and be like, we need to have her, or they're going to be like, yeah, that's probably not a good fit for our, and they're going to know it. And you're kind of, maybe you end the dance a little bit soon, but honestly, would you rather, I don't want to be at a speaking gig or to go to and speak at a conference that I don't even like it, just, I don't connect with the audience and they just don't understand what I'm saying. I want that fit. And I think live stream's got to be able to do that for us.
Right. And it's just like a job. When you go to a job interview, the company is looking for the right fit. So, an event coordinator or someone that's putting themselves out on the line and they're putting their name out on the line and they're having an event and they're promoting a cause, you want to know that you've got a good speaker. And so, by using live stream and putting good content out there, event coordinators can see you. They can see you in action. They can see you doing what you say you do. Truth and social proof. We have been fooled so much. We have been lied to so much. And social media can be whatever people make it. But when you see people in the live stream world, they're at where they say they're at. They're doing what they say they do, and they're doing it well, then it's a no-brainer.
Let me turn this just a little bit on this, okay? Because this is a topic that I think a lot of people, they talk around. Like, they don't actually talk about the issue. They talk around, but in we've talked about the actually practicing the craft, because I do think, I think it's a skill. Some people are just naturally better at it, but if they never develop the skill, then I mean that's as far as they get. And I mean, it's like natural athletes or natural musicians. They're just, some people are really, they're really just good at it. They don't really need to work hard, but others, they're not as talented, but they have to work really hard and they still stand out head and shoulders about the rest, right? And now we talked about that. As far as like the actual going out and doing it, having that social proof of, I actually live stream, I'm a speaker. We talked about a little bit of that promotion, but let me ask you this. What about consistency in going live as a speaker? What is your, do you have to do it like every day? Do you have to do it like once a week, like multiple times a day? I mean, do you have to be like going live as much as people tweet and stuff like this? So,
Like every
4,000
5 minutes.
times. What's your perspective on that?
My perspective on that is if you're building an audience, when I was building an audience, I went live every single day at the same time every day as I built my tribe, as I built my audience. Now, once you built your audience, you can kind of move around, but if you're trying to build an audience, I say you need to be consistent with your live streams. And I've been blessed, and that consistency has blessed me. I mean, I do live stream segments on national television now, like at least once a month. I get to do national. So if you've researched me, you probably see me doing some national segments, and I do that all through live stream. And I'm just going to tell you, it came from my consistency. I think people need to know that you're going to be there. Doing those past the cast with Perry Girls, that's basically producing a show, and you're going on every single Tuesday, 4 o'clock. I'm up every single morning. I did scopes every morning at 4 a.m. Did that. I've got about 500 streams of that.
No. Get out.
That's
Really?
consistency. Man, I'm telling you, when Catch shut down, they were like, move all your videos over. And I was like, oh God, let me move my videos over. I have over 500 streams. So that's 500 days of going live and just talking about different topics in my community, different events, connecting with my audience. Um, it, it's a
Wow.
and like I said, now I can barely go live every day because I'm going live on other platforms now. And so it's an amazing journey, and consistency affords that. So
Right.
you're
Yeah, we have a number of, within the group, Live Talk Nation, we have a number of people that they go live, but I want to say regularly. And
okay.
I'm going to be really hard pressed to think of like anybody that goes live every single day. Maybe Pat. Maybe Pat is that person I know that goes live almost.
That is the bomb.
I mean, but it's good. It's not just like hopping on and going like, hey, what's up? Like I'm going to get some mail today, and like I put a little extra cream, put too much cream in my coffee, and like, okay, guys, I'll talk to you tomorrow. No, she brings out like real stuff. I mean, she talks about real issues in her community and stuff like that. So, I mean, big shout out to Pat. But like 500 though, B,
Yeah.
some places they might actually say you might have like a live streaming problem. You know?
I think some people in my family did. It's like they start getting used to me going live, and they're like,
Yeah, they're like, just leave her alone.
just let me know when the mic goes away so I can talk again.
I streamed and all I got was this awful T-shirt, right? Yeah,
Oh my
I know
God.
how it's gonna be. So, all right, so I know we're coming up. We have question number 6, and question number 6 is, and I kind of saved this question for last. And I mean, and B, obviously, I just, in full disclosure, B already knows all these questions. I didn't like. Well, actually, she doesn't know all of them because I've added a bunch in there, but she knows this question, and I want to bring it up because for a lot of people, they maybe they've gone live a couple of times. Maybe they've thought about doing just a little bit of live streaming. They're just not quite sure. um they're just not quite sure about, well, how do I get from where I am, which is like really afraid to go live and broadcast and just really put myself out there, to those people that they see that they're going live consistently and they're connecting with an audience and things like this. What is your best advice for someone just starting to live stream?
Start.
No. Okay, no. Can you say that again, just in case like anybody missed it?
Look, I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
Start. Start. Ryan Bell said something to me real. We talked about it. We had a conversation one year, and it was push the red button, save a life. If it means saving a life with what you know, with the content that you can give to help someone, uh, just start. That is, it doesn't have to be perfect. You just need to start, because if it is in you to do it, that's because there's a message in you, and the world needs your message, and someone is waiting on it. Maybe no one in your neighborhood understands you, but there is someone out there that is waiting for you to start, people.
It, it really is true, isn't it? I mean, the
Yes,
simplicity of it. You just need to start. So what? And I'm going to say like this, right? And I'm not saying like go big,
right.
go as big as you can, and make sure you're broadcast well, look, if you're just starting, maybe just start with a Periscope, and if it's really bad, then delete it. I mean, you're not. I've said this before in a number of places. You ain't finding my first scopes. I'm telling you, okay, because they're not out there anymore. They were that bad. But like I look back at them and I was just like, yeah, this just. And I took them down because they I don't think that they really, for what I do now, like it wasn't the same. And and in the same way that like when I moved
Oh
my
God.
Instagram over to doing to more of like my business brand, I went through and I was like, does this picture still match what I'm trying to say and what I'm trying to be? And I think it's the same thing for live streams, and you got 500 of them, for goodness sakes. 500.
That's just well, okay. So 500 are the ones that I kept. So here's truth time. There's probably about 100 of them I got rid of. So, because they don't fit the brand, or maybe it wasn't a good scope, or maybe there was a bunch of trolls, because we did have one part where there was just a lot of trolls, and they were just like messing with the quality. You weren't really getting any content from the scopes. And so I got rid of those. So there's about 500 that I kept, and I've got them in a secret file, and I like let them go public every now and then. I'm just waiting to just let them loose on the universe, but it's exciting. Rest in peace, Catch.
So So we have kind of gone through all of this, and I'm glad to hear you say just start for, just that best advice. It's not, practice, or, it's not just, well, make sure that your camera angles at the right angle. It's not make sure your lighting and, that you have the, the
None of
certain
that.
microphone or something. I mean, those are components, but
Right.
that's not the reason. I think people use them as stumbling blocks or barriers to go live and to be able to find that real voice. And I wanted to ask, and I don't think, maybe I missed it, and maybe this is just a really easy way to ask. Tell us about, did you write a book, or do you have some of that out there in the world? I'd love to hear a little bit more about that.
So I wrote a book, and live streaming helped me with my book. Uh, See, I can't do one without the other. Live streaming and my authorship are like hamburger. It's like ham and burger, hamburger. I wrote a book, Be Inspired: Practical Steps for Living a Life Full of Joy. And as I wrote that book, my live streamers actually followed me. One of my trip to New Mexico, I was suffering from another bout of depression, and they were some of the deepest scopes that I ever had. Coming back home from New Mexico after all those scopes, that ended up becoming a book. And it's a book about healing. And it's just simple steps for living a practical life, practical steps for living a life full of joy. And I'm happy about that book. It became a bestseller, and I got on Periscope and I told everybody, I was like, guys, I just wrote a book. You can go to Amazon, you can grab it. And before I knew it, it was a bestseller. Bestseller.
Bestseller. So I don't know.
Bestseller.
No, actually, I do know. If you go over
Sold
to
5,000 copies. It sold
B,
5,000
BCS,
copies in like 4 hours.
nice. And we can get those. Well, if I remember right, if you go over to, I think it's not B Smith Live. That's where we can catch you in kind of social and stuff like this. But actually, I remember how I set this up, because I wanted to make sure that everybody has like one place to go. That one, if you were to do one thing today to really connect with B, I would say go over to letslivestream.com/B. And remember, that's got two E's in it. B
Buzz.
Inspired Talks. Okay. And I'm sure Jen will bring up the lower third here in just a minute. But that will actually direct you over to your Facebook, to the event. And I want to put it there because a lot of people just, I mean, they have Facebook, and you can click. And when you go to that website to learn even more about it, you can actually be able to connect and be able to pick up those books. And the reason why I want to put everybody there, this way I could just say, everybody just go there. That's the place to learn more, as opposed to, well, this is the book link. Don't do that stuff, guys. Just keep
Yeah.
it simple. Keep
Thank
it simple.
you. And I sign those. So when you go to that link, I physically, when you buy it, I physically sign it. I put it in the mail. I lick the envelope. Well, I don't lick it. I got a sales stick.
TMI?
But
No, that's not TMI. That's you getting the job done.
I love signing it. I love doing it. It's awesome.
I
It's an
love that personal
amazing
touch.
journey.
I really do. That's awesome. B, we're 5 minutes out, and normally I kind of save it for just a little bit later, just at the close. But B, I want to give you a chance, just kind of ask your final thoughts on today's show. And we've talked about a lot of stuff. We've talked about, just that willingness to get going, go live, what it's like to be a speaker, and how to promote yourself, and some of those tools, as well as just finding that authentic voice in who you are. And even if you find that you're not, that you feel hindered in life, or if you find yourself in a place where you need to reach out. So we've talked about all this stuff, but I want to give you maybe a minute or two here. Just tell us, what are your final thoughts on what we've talked about today?
First of all, I'd like to say thank you for having me. And my final thoughts are, you know, living a life full of joy is a choice. And using live stream to share my struggles, to share my triumphs, it has been an amazing journey. It saved my life. And just knowing that I could have that impact on someone else with just the little bit that I know. I don't know everything, but what I do know, I'm willing to share. And so today, if there's something that you have to share, you have. You don't have to feel helpless. You don't have to feel like you don't have an outlet. We have this thing called live stream. Maybe it's not Periscope, maybe it's Facebook Live, whatever vehicle that you have to spread a message. I hear people complain about social media and the negativity. Well, we have vehicles where we can spread a positive message. We can give information to people that never had it before, and we can meet and share with new people that we would never meet any other way. And so I just encourage you today to start, because this show is about live streaming. And so live streaming has changed my life, and I am eternally grateful for each and every relationship and connection because it saved my life. And so I just say start, guys.
Just start.
Just start.
B, this has been a fantastic episode. I really appreciate a lot of your insights, just the personality you bring, and just life experiences that, even in the darkest times, even in the most hard times, there's hope and that you are worth it. And I really appreciate that message. And I really cannot wait to see where you're going to go, both in the world, but also where you're going to go with your message, and who you're going to be able to impact. And I really actually really like that, and want to encourage anybody that does want to pick up her book. She says she's going to sign it, so I'd love for it if you do get her book, just to like take a picture and send it. I'd love that. I think it'd be kind of great. But guys, this is this last call on questions. If you do have a question, if there's a way, and even if the episode we do finish went live and you guys do want to get a hold of B, just go over to Be Inspired. Is on Twitter, it's what is it? It's B, because it always has the two E's, but it's Be Inspired Talk.
Yeah, Be Inspired Talk.
And that'll get you in contact with her. Although I have a feeling she lurks on Facebook a little bit. You did a really good job this week in tagging me and stuff. I appreciate that. No, I love it. You brought community, and I think it's really important. And but I really do want to say thank you for being our guest today. It was really fantastic being able to get to talk with you and not just listen, and things like this. And it was a really great. I really appreciate this episode, and I really hope that it touched and maybe changed somebody's lives today, and things like that. So, but guys, thank you for everybody that has joined us. This was another episode, and we do this every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. And it's just, remember, it's Eastern time. If you come a little bit too late, you're going to miss it. At least all the live stuff. And we have a great community. Go over to livetalknation.com. And that's the way to be able to connect with us in between episodes. And don't forget, if you are watching this on the replay and you do actually reply to some of the questions, I'm actually watching throughout the week. I have a couple people that just can't make it, but they still want to participate. And I really appreciate you guys putting in the time and the effort. Guys, next week we have a different show. We are going to be talking about, should you restream? And many of you guys might know of a platform. It's called Restream.io, and that is a multi-streaming site. It has some unique features, and we were able to kind of look behind some of the scenes and be able to kind of play with it. And we wanted to talk about that, and we're going to see if next week, if we can't have somebody from Restream be our guest as we talk about this. And I want to talk about the importance of, do we need to, should we be restreaming? What are the things that we need to be thinking about when we restream in multi-stream and multicast? So guys, bring your A game next week. I cannot wait to see what you guys are doing and how you guys are live streaming. And guys, thank you so much for yet another awesome episode. I really hope you guys have a great week. We'll see you then.